Picture it. A human figure lies pressed into the earth. Sometimes it is carved into mud, sometimes outlined in flowers, sometimes filled with blood, fire, branches, or gunpowder. Sometimes the body is present. More often, it has already disappeared. What remains is a hollow, a stain, a scorched outline, evidence that someone was here and is not here now. Ana Mendieta spent much of her brief career making the body visible through its absence. She placed her silhouette into landscapes that could not preserve it. Water carried it away. Fire consumed it. Wind scattered it. The earth absorbed it. These works are intimate, political, spiritual, and impossible to separate from a life shaped by displacement. But Ana was not simply making images of loss. She was using her body to build a relationship with the world. Welcome to Art Happens, the divine mess of art history, presented by J Squared Atelier. I'm James William Moore, your chaotic docent through art history. And today, Ana Mendieta, an artist who turned earth into body, the body into a trace, and absence into something impossible to ignore. Ana was born in Havana, Cuba in 1948. In 1961, when she was 12, she and her older sister, Raquel, were sent to the United States through Operation Pedro Pan. Thousands of Cuban children were separated from their families during the political upheaval following the Cuban Revolution. Ana and her sister arrived in Florida and were eventually sent to Iowa. They lived in temporary shelters, foster homes, and institutions before reuniting with family members. This was not a quaint exchange program. It was exile. Ana lost her country, her language environment, her family structure, and the physical landscape of home. Eventually, she studied art at the University of Iowa. There, she moved away from traditional painting and into the university's intermediate program. Because sometimes a canvas is simply not enough when your subject is the body, the earth, violence, migration, ritual, memory, and possibly setting things on fire. Ana began using her body as both material and subject. In early works, she altered her appearance, pressed her face against panes of glass, added facial hair, and distorted the body for the camera. These were not glamorous self-portraits. No flattering angle, no soft lighting, no caption reading, just reconnecting with my authentic self. Ana treated identity as something unstable, shaped by gender, race, culture, violence, and the expectations placed upon the body. In 1973, after the rape and murder of a fellow student at the University of Iowa, Ana created a deeply disturbing performance commonly known as rape scene. She invited fellow students to her apartment. They entered and found her partially unclothed, bound to a table and covered in blood. She remained motionless as they confronted the staged aftermath of sexual violence. The work does not offer a comfortable viewing position. It does not let the audience observe violence from a safe cultural distance. Ana forced the scene into the room. No metaphorical fig leaf, no tasteful museum hush. Just the reality that violence against women was not an abstract issue. That same year, during a trip to Mexico, Ana began the body of work for which she is best known, the Silueta series. She created the outline of a female form directly in the landscape. Sometimes she pressed her own body into the ground. Sometimes she constructed a simplified silhouette. She filled these forms with flowers, stones, leaves, mud, blood, cloth, and fire. She worked in caves, riverbanks, fields, and archaeological sites. These pieces are often described as land art, but Ana preferred the term earth body works. That distinction matters. Much of the U.S. land art of the period was monumental. Male artists moved industrial quantities of rock and soil across enormous landscapes. The earth became one more material waiting to be conquered with heavy equipment. Ana did something quieter. She did not dominate the landscape. She entered it. She left a body-sized trace and allowed nature to take it back. No bulldozer, no heroic aerial photograph, no desert calling its lawyer. Ana described her work as an attempt to reconnect with the earth. Her silhouettes were not simply generic symbols of womanhood. They emerged from her experience of displacement. The body becomes a temporary homeland. The earth becomes a place of return. But this is not a sentimental reunion. The silhouette belongs to the landscape and remains separate from it. It is there because something has been removed. A border defines it, an absence gives it shape. Her work drew from Afro-Cuban spiritual traditions, Catholic imagery, indigenous forms, archaeology, rituals, and the cycles of birth and death. Blood appears frequently, so does fire. These materials can suggest violence and sacrifice, but they can also suggest energy, transformation, fertility, and renewal. Ana refused to give materials only one polite art historical meaning. Blood was not simply red paint with a more aggressive resume. It carried life, danger, ritual, and physical reality. Many of Ana's works were temporary. The completed object might last minutes, so she documented them through photography, slides, and Super 8 film. This creates an important question. What exactly is the artwork? Is it the action? The silhouette? The landscape? Maybe it's the film, the photograph, the moment when fire moves through the figure, or the moment after, when only scorched earth remains. The camera did not merely record Ana's art. It became part of how the art survived. The original gesture disappeared. The documentation became its afterlife. This is particularly powerful because Ana repeatedly made images about presence and absence. We do not stand before the original event. We stand before evidence. The photograph says a body was here. The landscape says, not anymore. In 1980, Ana returned to Cuba for the first time since childhood. She later created the rupestrean sculptures in limestone caves at Escaleros de Jaruco. She carved female forms into the rock and named them for indigenous Taino deities. These works were less temporary than many of the silhouettes, but they still belonged to a living landscape. They were exposed to water, weather, plant growth, and time. Returning to Cuba did not erase exile. You do not simply walk back into childhood, collect your original self at baggage claim, and continue. But Cuba gave Ana a physical landscape in which memory, ancestry, myth, and identity could meet. Her work was becoming increasingly sculptural. She was receiving grants, exhibiting internationally, and gaining recognition. Her career was expanding. And then, in 1985, it ended. On September 8, 1985, Ana fell from the window of the 34th floor New York apartment she shared with her husband, the sculptor Carl Andre. She was 36. Andre was charged with her murder. He was acquitted in 1988. The circumstances of Ana's death remain fiercely disputed and have shaped how both artists are remembered. Protesters have repeatedly asked, where is Ana Mendieta? It is a question about justice, but it is also a question about museums, collections, canons, and whose careers institutions protect. There is a danger, however, in allowing Ana's death to become the only story we tell about her. She should not disappear inside the biography of the man who survived her. Her work deserves more than being treated as an eerie foreshadowing. She was not creating a collection of clues for a future tragedy. She was building a sophisticated visual language about exile, embodiment, violence, spirituality, nature, and belonging. Ana Mendieta placed the human figure into the earth without pretending that either would remain unchanged. Her silhouettes vanished, but disappearance is not the same as erasure. The flowers scatter, the flames go out, the blood darkens, the water closes, the body leaves, and still something remains. A photograph, a film, a mark, a memory, a question. Ana understood that presence can be temporary and still be powerful. Perhaps that is why her work feels so urgent. It does not ask to be permanent. It asks to be witnessed. This has been Art Happens, the divine mess of art history, presented by J Squared Atelier. I'm James William Moore, your chaotic docent through art history. If you enjoyed this episode, send it to your favorite art nerd, your favorite performance artist, or anyone who still thinks land art requires a bulldozer, several tons of concrete, and a man staring meaningfully across the desert. Until next time, keep looking closer. And remember, an absence is not empty when someone worked this hard to leave a trace.